Hello again. Welcome back to Babbling Zoom, where a majority of the time we're just really talking about the narrative of everything. A narrative. That's what I love about it. All right. So, um, what are we talking about today? Uh, Surprisingly enough, let's talk about Mickey Mouse. Now, I have this bad habit of looking too deeply into something, and it starts new narratives and it makes me explore random ideas and having fun with just the full idea of it, right? The full craziness and stories that could come out of all these new ideas and new stories, new conspiracies, if you want to say it. Um, so why Mickey Mouse of all things? Uh, so what if I said I feel like there is a social class structure embedded within the concept of just the Mickey Mouse characters? The Mickey Mouse characters and how you've seen them throughout the world, throughout their cartoons, may surprisingly show you enough about the actual world. Now, I'm not talking about racial. It seems like right now you could say, oh, they're going to go like racial class structure where like mices are one thing and ducks are another thing and blah, blah, blah. Or, or not by more like association. Like, um, I'm not saying that mice in Mickey Mouse worlds represent a certain race in our world, or ducks represent a certain race in our world. I want to keep the concept of our world out of it, right? Um, Mostly because of a few things. One, I don't think the concept of Black, Asian, Jewish, Indian, Native, I don't think any of that actually falls into the world of Mickey Mouse or its construction. I think in the beginning, to be honest, this is all just a different variation on social class structure, not racial class structure. So consider all these people essentially white if you want to put a race on it. These were created for the masses in America. And at the time, the masses in America, majority white that paid and wanted to see this stuff. So racial equivalent equivalency is just thrown out the window. Don't even think about that. So where are we going with this? So let's consider what we're seeing in Sesame in Mickey Mouse cartoons and kind of how they kind of came about. So let's get rid of that and zoom in on this. And this is how I usually think. So the early cartoons did truly introduce Mickey Mouse as a worker, right? So we're talking around Depression. Um, and when you first start seeing Mickey Mouse in in the old cartoons, it's not like it's very flattering, guy with no shirt on, uh, doing like odd jobs here and there. But a lot of times it's just a guy on the street trying to make a buck. Often really low to the point where they're begging on the street, kind of like the guys on the street, begging or, well, not really begging. He's working. It's not like he's a beggar. He's not a bum. He's just trying to make a buck with the conditions he's stuck with. And he's stuck with, always paired together with the hungry dog, Pluto, or just his dog, the companion, the lonely man on the street doing just trying to make a buck. And most of the time, it's a simple thing. I want to make a buck, so I want to impress my girl, Minnie, right? one of the few interactions outside of this, right? When it comes to mice, is I think his name was Mortimer. I stumbled on this. This was fascinating to watch. Because Morty, Morty or Mortimer. I think it was Morty. Morty is essentially, well, is Minnie's ex-boyfriend, right? And the fun clash, just watching it, was just basically, here's Mickey with this poor podunk car trying to go on a picnic with Minnie, and then all of a sudden, uh, Marty shows up in his sports car, right? But kind of has that subtle, I'm not poor anymore. And I think that kind of hints on majority of what Mickey Mouse is. Mickey Mouse, if you want to put a social class to him, is low income. He's poor. Well, not poor, but he's low class. He's a guy who's scraping together as much as possible, just to hang out with his girlfriend. We rarely see a lot of mice in cartoons, actually. So again, this is one of those times where you're like, oh wow, there's another mouse, right? Majority of the time, if you're seeing anything else, you have that situation where, trying to get something ready, you have this situation where Mickey and Minnie are mice, but Minnie's supposed to be related to this guy who's not a mouse. Everyone else in the area are dogs, essentially. Oop, maybe this guy over here is a mouse. I don't know. He's got kind of the same face. That's the first time I saw that. That's cool. But the princess in this situation related to the king is not, surprisingly, a mouse. And in some depictions, he's actually human. So we rarely see mice in this world. We rarely see the poor in this world, I say. Right? When you start getting to the Christmas stories, we start getting more and more emphasis on this concept of the fact that no, mice in the Mickey Mouse world are lower class. They are low income workers that struggle to try and get by as much as possible. Yes, this is a Christmas Carol. This is their rendition of Christmas Carol, but in a weird way, it kind of puts everyone in a certain place, right? And what's crazy is, even past the Christmas Carol stories, you still have these ongoing stories. This is another, this is Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas. You still have this ongoing plot of Mickey on a dead-end job trying to make a buck. This one is him trying to sell trees at Pete's Christmas tree shop. Seasonal jobs. He's doing seasonal work, not really much, right? While Minnie's stuck at a department store minimum wage job, right? Just trying to make a buck. And in the end, you have this couple trying to save money to buy each other a gift. And the joke goes, they both kind of end up getting screwed over by the system. Mickey gives up his prized possession to buy Minnie jewelry. I think it was like, he gives up a harmonica to buy Minnie a necklace. Minnie gives up her necklace to buy Mickey a new harmonica. And it's like the funniest thing in the world. They go through all this pain just to end up sacrificing to get the same thing that they gave up. The cycle of you know, poverty. Well, that's not the cycle of poverty, but you know what I'm saying. You're struggling so hard to just end up in the same spot. Weird, right? Maybe a little bit better. So mice in this world, I'm actually thinking about doing something real quick. So if we go up back here, I'm erasing this and this. So mice in this world are the lower class, right? Both of these guys are just low class, low income. From here, let's switch over to a new thing. Donald Duck. Why Donald Duck first? Why Donald Duck next? Um, more because of time, more of the time period. Mickey Mouse was one of those characters that were introduced uh, at Walt Disney's early career, or they knew the what we know of as the full Disney production, the whole Disney uh, juggernaut company. Uh, Around the 30s is where like Mickey Mouse is really like flourishing with all his cartoons. Uh, don't hold me to any of that stuff, by the way. Uh, Once we start entering the war, Donald starts making a bigger play when it comes to shorts, to animated shorts. Uh, but in the spectrum of Donald, how do we usually see Donald? Donald is usually kind of the better man here. He's more well off. Uh, he's often seen playing golf, playing with train sets. He's playing with toys. This is his toy. His toys, his gloves are playing golf. He's got the equipment for it. He messes around with trains, and this is again the moment where we start kicking into like getting Chip and Dale. We need the antagonistic people to mess with Donald, and we don't have to always run to Mickey and Donald. They're not. I mean, Mickey and Goofy. Mickey and Goofy are friends. They're not adversaries, right? He occasionally goes hunting. There's that when the what is it? I think it's the good neighbor policy is when we reached out to Central and South America. There's the one cartoon where Donald goes to Brazil, I think it was, and he just meets up with a bunch of people. He has the money to travel. He has the money to enjoy his stuff. Has the money to just be. But we're all talking about the height of Donald, and the height of Donald kicks in around the war. We use Donald as well. First off, Donald is his whole thing. Like unlike Mickey, when you focus on Mickey Mouse's stories usually focus on an antagonist that's constantly pestering. Well, they all have antagonists, but Mickey's is usually Pete. Pete is the usual problem. Majority of his films, when you're dealing with the situation of trying to get somewhere, Pete is always the wall that's stopping him from getting what he needs to do. Donald, on the other hand, is his temper or his impatience as well. So you put Donald in situations where he will get into a temper. He will get mad. And it's fun because this is an easy thing to like, yeah, Chip and Dale are just people that you can get him mad, but there's all these other things you can just throw at him and he'll just flip out. The war works for him. It's frustration of what's going on. Don't quote me. I mean, don't say like that's really what's going on, but like, here's this guy. How do you throw a plot on this? Throw him into the frustration of the military. Going through the problems of like basic training. Throw him in Nazi Germany where he doesn't want to be there. But we have, I think it was like 7 shorts of just him in the war. And kind of like other cartoons, it's the do's and do nots of being an American soldier, or just kind of propaganda of making fun of the enemy. So what's so significant about this part? Let's see if we can get to it. What's awesome about this time is you also have this situation where you have a lot of actors going into the military around this time, right? Thanks, Cary Grant. But you have all these soldiers who are actively going into the military, who are actually serving. On top of that, you have a bunch of films now focusing on the war after the fact, during probably and after the fact. So it's not just the fact. Clark Gable, that's his name. Clark Gable. I suck. um where you have all these actors actively going into the military, being patriots, right? This is now reflecting. This is a kind of in a weird way. This kind of reflects that, you know. So it's a stretch. I know it's a stretch. They're thinking, well, that's crazy, you know. So let's go to the other part of this. Past his nephews, onto the really important part. Why Christmas comes back again. It's amazing how much times Christmas comes back again. Scrooge McDuck is introduced and their Christmas Carol story, and continues on as a fun character for the DuckTales. But this sets the stage again for a class system, right? Mickey is the poor one. Mickey is Bob Cratchit trying to work. Donald is just the nephew of a rich man, Scrooge, right? Donald is capable of handling beautiful homes, spacious house that can accommodate his nephews. Mickey can't do that. Mickey doesn't have the space for that. And then when you think about that, that means that Donald is living a better life than everyone else. Donald is maybe low. Donald Duck himself is probably lower upper class, right? He's at the bottom of that upper class spectrum. Meanwhile, everyone else is higher than that, or more educated, right? When you constantly start seeing duck characters, you could throw in Darkwing Duck, who's just a ripoff, who's just a parody of Batman, a rich billionaire who has the gadgets and toys to go out and crime fight, right? We also introduced to what is his name? Gear something. I can't remember. Gyro Gear something. I can't remember. And then Gizmo Duck. As you start diving deeper into this world, you start realizing that ducks or even birds have a higher income, like live in the higher income bracket. They're actually upper class citizens with either a form of education, a form of knowledge, a form of skills that are above everyone else. And you realize they live in a different world than everyone else I know. To this day, Donald's the only one that I know of that has a full, extensive family tree. Oh, wait, I forgot his name's in here. Gear Loose. Gear Loose. There it is. Donald has a full family tree, people. This is crazy and kind of awesome. But this is old money here. All this is old money. And it's awesome, right? But that's kind of where majority of when you look at American uh upper class get their money. They're all old money. They're all generations of people who have established themselves in America. Um, not only established themselves in America, but had the capital to create and build whatever they want. You know, I mean, I bet you like some of the first settlers were the richest of the settlers to come in and just buy up tons of land, and everyone else was just workers. The rich came in, bought the land, controlled the land. The workers came in after and started fixing it. And then old money moved on from generation to generation, boom, and they're still rich. Donald's just living off of old money. So that leaves Donald in high class, which then gives us the world of Goofy. And I do believe one of the best characters ever. Goofy had his time in the 50s. It was Goofy's time. It was just the perfect place for Goofy to shine. Um, Mickey Mouse reflected the time of the 30s and the Depression. Donald uh, represents the pride and the war. Goofy brought us into the American dream. Goofy is the everyman. Goofy is the blue collar worker. He is the middle class. Yes, he may be the goofball of the group, but he's also the most stable, right? He has a son. Actually, he has a son. Let me leave it at that. And I'm going to get back on the Max later. I think there's a deeper plot, would be deeper narrative that we don't know about. That's fun to think. When Goofy has always been in the story and the world well before this. All these characters have always been created before this, but Disney, when it came to shorts, focused hard on specific characters within specific um generations, not generation, decades. So when it hit the 50s, we were focusing on what is America, what is what is America, what is Americana. um and a series of shorts came out where it was really just kind of the how to do sports, right? The story of a father taking his son out, the story of the weekend, right? That's generally this. um Fun fact about this one. I think majority of these films, these shorts, this character right here, uh, this character right here, I can't believe I can't. There you go. This character right here is called George. I was watching this particular film and they called him George. They called him Mr. G. They called him, I think they called him Mr. G. And then later his wife calls him George. His wife's in the picture. You don't see her face. And then they call him Junior. And I think I want to make a video just on that next time. Because this is fascinating. This whole moment right here is fascinating to me. But let's move on. The most important thing about looking at this aspect of Goofy in this moment is the fact that one thing keeps constantly become evident. Everyone in the world that Goofy deals with, everyone outside of the trio, is a dog. Later, some of that kind of changes, but look at these little interactions, or just basically everyone that kind of looks like Goofy interacting with Goofy. When we start getting to the Goofy movie, same thing. Everyone in this hallway is a dog. High school, the rural areas, dogs. This family gathering, dogs. Oh, I didn't take the diner scene. There's a diner scene. Dogs. Majority of these movies essentially are inhabited by dog characters. The everyday man, the middle class that is America, right? The funny thing about this is I think the one exception is if you actually started watching Goof Troop. And this is the fun moment where you start seeing a dynamic of Pete. And I did not have a folder for Pete. But in a way, we can look at all the other characters and see what is Pete to this world, right? Like, who is Pete to this? When you look at it from everyone's perspective, to Mickey, Pete is a boss. Majority of the time, Mickey is in a situation with Pete. Pete is a boss. He is the problem. He is the antagonist to his world. He is simply a mean part, the part of the system that oppresses him. To Goofy, he is I'm not saying partner. He's an equal. There it is. That's the word. He's an equal, especially in Goof Troop. They're neighbors. They constantly interact with each other. They're best friends in a weird way, to the point where their kids are best friends. Pete doesn't do anything to Goofy. He just, to Mickey, he antagonizes and messes with, right? It's fun to him. To Goofy, he does advice. He's that guy across the street that thinks he knows better, but he'll never look down on you. Well, he looks down on you, but will never really actively be aggressive about it, right? He'll turn to Mickey and say, "Get out of our neighborhood," but he was lean over to Goofy and be like, "Look at that idiot. Why is he even here? You know, he's not one of us." And that's him. And the best part about this, when you really think about this, is who is Pete to Donald? Nobody. Pete's not in the same league as Donald. Donald barely interacts with Pete. Why should he? He's low class. Well, he's middle class. He's not in the same league. Right? Think about it. Pete interacts with two of the three guys that inhabit the world of Mickey Mouse. Because in the end, Pete is just middle class. That's all he is. He wants to be more than that, but he isn't. He's just another just another regular worker, another blue collar worker who wants to see. He wants the American dream. Everyone else is just living it. Right? Is that the best way of putting it? Maybe. So, what is the dynamic of these characters? This is the world of Mickey Mouse. We have a world where the mice aren't acknowledged, but still struggle every day to just do their basic minimum wage jobs. That's it. They might have friends they might have friends of different class system, like how Minnie is friends with what is her name? Daisy. Well, we all see that Minnie is just a more humble person. Daisy's more part of the world. More fashion sense. She enjoys, she's like that. But the mice are still lower class citizens. No matter how much they try to struggle, they may come across, if they dress a little better or look a little better, they might come across better, like maybe middle class citizens, but in the end, they're all still lower class citizens. Goofy and his kind, the dogs of all this world, are the main people. They are the majority of this world, which we all hope to be. We all hope to be just like Goofy, dogs that just live their lives. He is the everyman. He is the person we all kind of look to, and we all don't hate. His antagonist is himself and the system, and just not the system, but just living. Just trying to just relax and be. He has no antagonist, no actual physical embodiment of antagonist. It's just him and his worries, and that's it. Just like every other person does. Donald, ducks, birds are all upper class citizens. They probably control everything. They pretty much control everything. And some revel in the money. Some focus more on their studies, like Gearloose. Some try to better the world. Some try to exploit the world. Like if we keep watching everything with the new versions of DuckTales, notice how a lot of the higher citizens are like birds. But yeah, this is how I see the class structure of the Mickey Mouse world. Next time I jump into this, we're going to talk about Max and how Max amazingly messes with the fabric of this entire world, of the entire illusion that is the Mickey Mouse, and why I love Max so much. Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna talk about Max after this. So hope you enjoyed the rambling. Uh, and yeah, I'll kind of see you. All right. See you next time.